PGA Championship teeing off here. Second major of the year on Thursday from Southern Hills. And we have Geoff Ulrich here to spend some quality time with all of us, the potential millions around the world here on The Sweat, presented by DraftKings. So, dude, first question I have for you. So Southern Hills, last time there was a major here, was it 2007 with Tiger Woods? Was that the one?
Yeah, the PGA Championship. It was like 1,000,000 degrees out. You know, everyone was like literally wilting in the heat. You know, players were suggesting like they were they're basically just wiped at the end of each round. You saw some major blow-ups just because of that. But yeah, 2009 or 2007 PGA Championship. It also hosted the 2001 U.S. Open, which actually Tiger didn't do that well in. But no, that's neither here nor there.
He didn't. But you know, yeah, it's a little different though too, because now this is in May, so I don't think that heat is expected to be like as torturous to golfers, I guess, if you want to put it like that, as it has in years past. But what do people need to know about this place? Because I was reading yesterday, it's been renovated a little bit, right? So is there a particular style golfer that you want to target? Yeah, so I mean, it is interesting. Like, it's going to be a pretty different course than what you saw in 2007, right? I mean, Gil Hanse redesigned this in 2019. You know, again, like they extended the bunkering to make up for, you know, the distance that guys hit off the tee now. And they really renovated the greens as well. One big thing about Southern Hills, it's small greens. Like, it's a long golf course with small greens. And that's typically when you like, it's hard. It really dials up the toughness, because typically when we see small greens on the PGA Tour, the courses are shorter. So it's like, okay, you don't have to do that much off the tee, but you got to really dial up the approaches and around the green. Now you're being asked, you got to have some distance off the tee, or there are a lot of dog legs. And instead of hitting like wedges into a lot of these holes, you're going to be hitting long irons. So I think the greens and regulations this week are going to be very low, very, very low. You're going to need really good mid to long iron play. You're going to need to be really slick around the greens. And a good corollary, Gil Hanse also redesigned Winged Foot, which hosted the 2020 U.S. Open. Yeah. And it is a very similar course, a long par 70, 7,500 yards of Winged Foot. Really dialed up, undulating greens there that played extremely quick. I think you're going to see very similar scoring. The main difference going to be the rough. The rough of Winged Foot was way up on the East Coast. This probably won't be as fast, but you're going to get a firm course. Again, not a ton of rain. I think you're going to see a winner in like the 8 under range, if I had to guess. Yeah. Now, Bryson won that U.S. Open at Winged Foot, and I want to talk about him here in just a second. I did see this crazy stat yesterday, Geoff. So the club historian there for Southern Hills said, he noted that in all 7 of the major championships the club has hosted, as well as its 2 tour championships and last year's senior PGA Championship, the 36-hole leader has gone on to hoist the winner's trophy. So we're talking a staggering stat here. 10 events, 10 36-hole leaders winning. Yeah. Like, that blows my mind. So maybe something to keep in mind after the first 2 rounds. We're going to bet the weekend, right?
It's not only that, like the first round leaders, I think 5 of the 7 big events they've hosted, I think 5 of the first round leaders have gone on to win. Like the front runners, it's just a course where it's hard to make up ground. Like, you lose a couple strokes in the first couple rounds, there's just no birdies. The par 5s are 630 yards or more. Yeah. You know, there's
only 2 of them.
There's 2, and there's only 2 of them. There's no really drivable par 4s. There's one where it's like a little bit downhill and you'll have like a wedge in, but you know, then you come back with like 2 500-yard par 4s as well, which are going to be like bogey holes. So there's just no room to make up. And I think those front runners, they just get such a boost from, you know, if they're grinding along and they've got the speed of the greens, that, you know, you either have the speed of the greens early in the week or you don't. And yeah, I think it is something to really keep in mind for live betting this week. I would not be afraid to go to the top of the board. You know, if you're getting like a decent enough number on a good player at top in live betting, you should probably look to think about taking it if you're not already exposed.
Yeah. And like, speaking of the top of the board, like right now, 7 guys with odds better than, you know, 20-1, including the favorite John Rahm, Geoff. And like right behind him, world number 1 Scotty Scheffler, then Justin Thomas. Like, out of this group of favorites, like, who do you feel is worth wagering on?
Yeah. So, I mean, again, you know, the odds are going to be a little bit different everywhere and to what you can get and stuff like that. But, you know, if we're looking on DraftKings right now, you know, Rory has faded back to plus 1,800, Jordan Spieth there at plus 1,600. These have flipped. You know, yesterday when we were on the show, Jordan Spieth was plus 1,800. So clearly the money is coming in on Jordan Spieth, and I'm not shocked at all. I tweeted out, you know, at the end of last weekend, Jordan Spieth, what does he do before majors? Well, he really
Yep.
gets in contention. He's got to win a second place and a third place finish before his other 3 major wins. He was second last week. It's just setting up perfectly for Jordan Spieth. And I think it's a course too, where I don't think the rough is going to be up necessarily. I don't think you're going to need to be like a Bryson or a Matt Wolff and hit it 350 off the tee. I think it sets up well for Jordan Spieth. So plus 1600, the thing about Spieth right now, he's tied with Cantlay, who I also really like. So you're going to have to make a decision here. Spieth or Cantlay, which side are you on? I'm personally, if you're giving me the same odds on both, I'd almost lean Patrick Cantlay. I just love the way he's played over the last 8 months, but it's really close. I would still take either of those guys at plus 1600 over Rory right now. But they are getting shorter. And again, the money is coming in on Spieth. If that's a bad indicator for you, then, maybe go somewhere else.
Yeah, as you've mentioned multiple times, like this week and since last week, trying to complete that career Grand Slam, something Tiger Woods did very early on in his career. And Big Cat's plus 4,000 outright. Obviously, I think you've stated before, I don't know if you really want to bet that, like with a whole lot of confidence, but is there a Tiger bet that you do like? I think top 20s plus 250, top 40 minus 110, maybe miscut this week.
So, okay, this is the way I would approach Tiger. We saw him at the Masters. What was the bet at the Masters? The bet at the Masters was for Tiger to make the cut. All the sharps are like, you got to fade Tiger. He can't do it. He hasn't played golf. This is the easiest bet. Again, he made the cut. Why? Because he's Tiger Woods and he's that good. Did he fade over the weekend? Yes, he shot 78. The endurance wasn't there. What's the news we've gotten from Tiger so far? The leg is getting stronger. It's only going to keep getting stronger. Clearly, there's a little bit of confidence building. So what do you do now? You could bet him to make the cut, but I like just betting him to progress. Top 40, minus 110. If he made the cut at the Masters, great. He's probably going to do a little bit better here because if he gets to the weekend, he'll probably say, well, I'm feeling stronger now. Let's try and get one more good round in and get myself in contention. Top 20, don't forget, the odds are tempting, but don't forget, this is a very deep field. This is a way deeper field than the Masters, 156 players. I would take the top 40 on Tiger. I think if he makes the weekend, I think he will put in at least one good round and get himself in that top 40 position. And look, man, if he does end up top 20 in gear, that would be a major boon for Tiger. If he top 20s here, go and bet him at the Open Championship right away because that's going to be a major confidence boost. But as far as how you should approach Tiger this week, I don't mind the top 40 at all. Minus 110, That's fine. I wouldn't go any deeper than that.
All right. Well, we mentioned Bryson earlier. Like he tweeted late last night that, he's headed to Southern Hills. He's going to test how he's feeling for a few days before deciding whether or not he's going to compete in the PGA Championship this week. It's a big number here. It's plus 10,000. Like this is insane for like a major winner and one of the top golfers, win healthy on tour. But is he just a complete fade for you right now? It's tough to trust him. We saw him miss the cut at the Masters.
I mean, look, it's a guy coming off a major injury layoff, and we're not talking about I strained my back and I could still hit some wedges and pitch and shot, obviously surgery to the hand and stuff like that, right? So,
and how hard he swings too.
Yeah, exactly, right. It's at the same time, this number has gotten to the point where plus 10,000 on Bryson in any tournament. At this point, it's almost like the Kevin thing from The Office. You give me these odds, you got to bet it.
Yeah, right. Put $10 on him for crying out loud.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind. Wouldn't mind a top 20 bet on Bryson this week. I think that also the thing you have to remember with Bryson, he is such a perfectionist. We saw him pull out of events earlier in the year when he wasn't ready. So you've got to think if Bryson is at the starting tee, he's at least 95% ready in his mind. He's ready to semi-compete. The sharpness won't be there. And I don't think he's going to win or pull off the upset, but a top 20 is certainly capable. And again, let's not forget, I just mentioned the correlation that I think between Winged Foot in 2020 and Southern Hills. I think there is some correlation. Again, Gil Hanse, longer par 70. I don't think it's going to favor the Bombers as much, but it certainly is a long golf course. You could think about Bryson as a top 20 bet. I wouldn't go any deeper than that or get crazy with it. It's certainly not someone I want to have max exposure to, but definitely these odds have gotten to the point where you've got to at least take a look at it with Bryson.